All right, Coach Wilson, thanks for joining us. Thanks for taking time to answer questions today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Yep. I guess first off, everyone wants to know, how are you? How's your family? Is everyone okay during this current crisis?
My family and I are doing well. Thank you for asking. It's been a challenging time for everybody. And I guess first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to all the medical and healthcare professionals out there and all of our first responders, our essential workers that are out on the front lines. Thank you for all you do. We really appreciate, words cannot express how much we appreciate what you're doing. My family, though, is doing well. My daughters are trying to be creative with e-learning, and my wife's a tennis coach down at Colorado College, and so she's doing some of the same things that we're doing at the Air Force Academy, and a lot of backyard sports and more time for some family walks and hikes. So that's been fun.
That's good to get that family time. But I'm sure you missed that other family too, out at the Air Force Academy, and of course your team. Let's start by talking about kind of how it all happened. If you could just take us through the timeline of when you found out, hey guys, season's over. How do you tell athletes their season's over before they expected it to be, and how did they react?
Well, I think that they understood that it was the right decision at the time. So I don't think that makes it easier. It's just a factor. The guys, they're extremely disappointed to not be able to play. If you look at the makeup of our team, and probably any team in the country, you have some players that have put in blood, sweat, and tears over the years, and this was their year to maybe contribute more on game day. And we have a lot of those guys that had started to rise to the top on game day, and unfortunately for them, their season was cut too short. We're very fortunate to have guys in every class that work extremely hard on practice day and to build up. As you know, a lot of work goes into getting ready for a spring season, whether it's our alumni, our parents, our players. Everyone our administration put in a lot of work, our coaching staff put in a lot of work. And to have it cut short was, yes, it was devastating, but I think everybody on the team understood it was the right decision. When we had our teams meetings since, a couple of times a week we meet as a team on the computers, and in those meetings, I think our guys have expressed, that while they're disappointed, they definitely understand there's a greater cause.
Yeah, I understand that. Was there any? It was such a rush. It seemed to me like, okay, guys, your season's over, and now you're going to graduate 4 weeks or 5 weeks earlier than you would have. Did any of your seniors have a hard time with that process? Did they adapt well to that quick change?
I think our leadership at the Air Force Academy as a team did a very good job of communicating, whether it was our on the military side, on the academic side, at the athletic side. All of our leaders, I think, did a great job communicating, and within a very short period of time, turned around, sending the lower three classes home, and then keeping our seniors on track to graduating on April 18th, as we all know. Really enjoyed the fact that we were able to get them through their culminating events over the course of their senior year, and to see them graduate. For me, it was just a wonderful experience to see them go through their journey and get to have that culminating experience. I thought that the graduation ceremony was outstanding, and everyone who attended, they were fantastic, and very, very proud of our seniors. Very happy for them to take that next step. We had the opportunity to meet before graduation, and while it's not our typical meeting that we would have with our coaches and our team and our seniors, we were able to thank them for everything that they've done over the time that they've been at the Academy, because they've done so much in all three pillars at the Academy. So very proud of the guys, very happy for their next step in their journey. And now as second lieutenants, as leaders of character for our nation, it's really exciting for those guys as they start the next chapter.
Yeah. How have you stayed in contact with the underclassmen? Do you have them on a certain regimen as far as staying in shape? What's going on with them?
So for the team, we get in touch once or twice a week. We have a big team meeting once a week, and then we'll break into positions the other day of the week. So just to make sure that we're keeping in touch and keeping everyone notified, like our superintendent said this past week, we just have to be in constant communication with one another and make sure that as things are fluid, we're keeping everyone updated, and then we're flexible with those updates. But our guys, anytime that they have an update, they'll share it with the team, with our coaching staff. And what we've decided to do, one of our coaches, he had a great idea to have some IQ sessions and break our team up into smaller groups. So when we started to brainstorm what we could do during this time, it really turned into two ideas coming together. One was to break into smaller groups and work on IQ, and then the other one was to take it a step further and really work on the leadership aspect of those smaller groups. So we're able to have some older guys on the team, some more experienced men on the team step up and take responsibility for their smaller groups and take on that leadership role. So that's been a positive experience for us. And for us, it's been scouting reports. The guys are watching film, and they're really putting their heads together, and then sharing that with the coaching staff. And like, they're the coaches and we're the players. So it's been a fun experience so far.
It sounds like much like the seniors quickly adapted to their new lives now, and they'll soon be like working in the Air Force. It sounds like your juniors have quickly become the senior leaders for next year's team. Would that be right to say?
I think that the experience the whole way through, you see our guys make steps along the way from their first year, where they're learning to follow. Second year, they're learning to mentor. Third year, they're taking on a bigger leadership role. And then the seniors basically oversee everyone and take a managerial role and run the academy. And it's a lot of, that's one of the most fun parts of working at the academy, is to be able to watch the guys develop and grow as young men at a very pivotal point in their lives, and to see them as seniors graduating. They're well put together and ready for that next step. So it is a really exciting time. I know it might be hard for some people to hear that our guys went through a really tough time to end the season early, but at the same point, there is excitement behind that senior group graduating and seeing them move on to that next level. We're very proud of those guys and everything they've done and everything they will do in the future. And then for our younger guys, they know they have big shoes to fill. And as you would expect, they step up to the challenge and they're chomping at the bit. They can't wait to get back to campus, but we know that that's not going to happen in the immediate future. So they're doing a good job reaching out to their teammates. So when we're on our teams, 365 teams calls, our guys usually stay on for an extra half hour to 45 minutes after we conclude as a team. And I'm sure that they're keeping in check with their people.
That's good. You mentioned the underclassmen, and one of the questions from our fans came in about Brandon Dodd. He was really tearing it up as a freshman for your team. What, they wonder, do you attribute that to? Did he just come in with maybe some more talent than you usually see from a freshman, or what?
I think he's 6'3", 220. You don't coach 6'3", 220 with soft hands and vision, and at the same time, he's a very mature young man. He is quite a player. So he changed his physical body. He played football in the past, as you probably know, and for him to kind of chisel what he already had, he had a lot of strength and a lot of quickness and speed and power and vision. Coming out of Utah, some people might say, well, it's a non-hotbed state. I think that he had an awful lot coming into the Air Force Academy with his offensive acumen. But he has gone above and beyond to recognize, hey, this is what I got right now physically, and this is what I need to do. And he's really tapped into Coach Raines in our strength program, who Coach Raines does a phenomenal job with our program. But Dodd just did a really nice job at losing about 10 pounds of fat and putting on about 10 pounds of muscle. So now you have that 6'3", 220-pound frame with just more mean, lean muscle. And then on top of that, I think our coaching staff on the offensive end, we have Coach John Grant Jr. and Dan Carson, both have done an outstanding job at teaching him and working with him. And he has just blossomed as a result. So the future's bright for him. He's a hard worker, so he's not going to hear anything and let his head get too big. He's not that kind of person. If you know him, he's a very humble young man and a hard worker and a self-made player. So, I really look forward to what the future holds with him. And he was on track to have an All-America season as a freshman in college, and we definitely look forward to what he has in the future, especially his motivation for the rest of his teammates, because we're going to continue to see him take on a greater leadership role within the program.
Well, and I think this motivation really will come from not having been able to play an entire season last year. Hopefully you get to play somewhat of an entire season moving forward. I guess, what are you looking forward to once you can get back and actually even start practicing again?
Well, I think the guys are probably looking forward to just being with their teammates. I know that they can be online and they can see each other, and all of our guys are doing very well. So from a physical standpoint, they're all happy, healthy. They're working on e-learning, and again, a tribute to the Air Force Academy and our academic people, some of the finest people in the country. They're doing an outstanding job with e-learning and adjusting and being flexible. So I probably should have started with that, but our guys are probably just chomping at the bit to get back and be with their teammates. When we're apart for 1 week feels like 1 month. 1 month feels like 6 months, and we're a very tight knit family. And to be apart from the guys, or for our guys to be apart from their teammates for so long, I would think that would probably be their number one want or ask. And then after that, they just want to compete. Like you said, the season was cut short, and they want the challenge, they want the competition, they want to work hard, they want to be in the weight room with Coach Raines, they want to work in terms of their conditioning. And so I would think that they can't wait to get back. And hopefully we're tracking to get back sometime late summer in August.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about you and maybe your coaching philosophy. Some fans have asked, because you've been there, you were an assistant with Coach Saramet, and now you're the head coach. How has your coaching evolved, or maybe take us from when you were an assistant and what you had to look at, and now, head coach is such a different position, because it's not just X's and O's. A lot of the times there's also all of the other things that you have to take care of.
Well, for me, I can answer that in probably two different ways. As a younger coach, I think I was a very X's and O's oriented coach, and I think at that point in my life and my career, I wanted to be an educator and a mentor, and I was driven in that regard. That's why I wanted to become a coach in the first place, to have a chance to work with young men at a very pivotal point in their lives, 17 to 22, 23 years old. That's a really neat time in their development as young men. But the X's and O's, I was very fortunate to have great coaching in high school and in college. And Coach Cottle in college was he's one of the finest coaches in the sport, and he was a very good motivator. And in terms of X's and O's, I think that was a huge part of what we did. And so as a player, I came out of college thinking a lot of our success was attributed to our coaching staff. And as a young coach, I think I probably put too much weight into that. And I think as I get older, I first learned that I don't know as much as I thought I did. And I continue to learn as I get older, which is something I'm sure we all share. But in terms of the coaching aspect, I think culture is the number one thing that we focus on. It drives our program. And if you sleep on culture, you're going to have problems, whether it's in practice, whether it's off the field, in the locker room. So it's a big part of what we do, and making sure that we're on the right track with our guys and building leaders. It's the mission at the Air Force Academy, leaders of character. And I buy into the mission. I think that might be the most exciting part of our job at the Academy is the mission, and which other schools they don't have that piece. But as a coach, developing and growing, that the culture piece is the big part. We focus on culture every day. Every day, I'm a big fan of John Gordon. I believe that culture is stronger than talent, and I think that our players buy into that as well. And they focus on hard work and development, and as well as skill development. You have development as young men, and so I think that's probably the biggest difference that I've come to realize as I mature as a coach. And then everything that we do, it's for our guys. I think that leadership 101, you want to take care of your people. And as a coaching staff, I know we have some of the finest coaches in the country. I'm very blessed to have a coaching staff like we have at the Air Force Academy. John Grant Jr., Dan Carson, and Doug Murray. Those are some of the finest men out there, and they have a huge impact on our cadets. our cadet athletes every day. So, long answer to a short question, but I do think that most people probably come to that as they develop as coaches. And then finally, you need to be yourself. I think I spent younger years trying to be like Dave Pell or Bill Tierney or Dave Petramella and or whoever. I was very, very fortunate to have some outstanding coaches in my young development. And I think a message that I've heard from a lot of people, and now I understand, is you have to be yourself, and otherwise your players will see right through it. So I think that that family relationship that you talked about, you started with, that's a big part of why I'm a coach and why I continue to love what I do.
Yeah, that's a great answer to that question. Along those same lines, like you could take those same portraits with you anywhere if you're coaching anywhere, but you're not just coaching anywhere, you're coaching at a military academy, the United States Air Force Academy. So another question is, what's your favorite part about coaching at the United States Air Force Academy?
Well, it's so unique. It's the mission at the academy is something that some people might see from the outside, but they might not understand it until they're a part of it. And it's such a great responsibility to be part of the team, the leadership team here at the Air Force Academy. All three pillars, the military, academic, and athletic pillars, very, very important to put equal weight in all three of those. And I believe that that's when you'll see that development occur where you're at the highest level possible when you're a senior and you're getting ready to take that step when you're graduating, becoming a second lieutenant in the Air Force. So you have to be part of it and see it. Some people might have siblings that have gone through an academy, but it is a special experience. And I feel like we are very fortunate to recruit, number one, the young men that we have the ability to recruit. Some people ask the question about recruiting challenges. Well, I don't see it that way. I think we have to find the right people. And when you find the right people who are willing to take on that challenge, then you have a really good fit and they'll flourish at that in that setting. So just doing your homework and making sure that you're finding the right people, the right, in our case, the right men, or in all cases, the right men and women for the Air Force Academy. It is an unbelievable team to be a part of, and the mission is fun.
I find it interesting that you brought up when you talk about recruiting and that it's not, to you, it's not a challenge. Are you looking at it as like at other institutions across the country, you're basically looking at every single athlete in the country, pretty much for some of them, but they have to have a certain academic. But at the academy, there's a higher academic. They have to want to go into the military. So are you saying that you just have to fine tune what you're looking at, and that somehow makes it slightly easier because you have a smaller pool of athletes you're looking at?
Well, I think that we have a bigger pool of athletes that we look at, and then we have to go from there. Of course, we're going to see somebody who jumps off the field athletically. You'll see their skill set, their ability to score goals, make stops, and that jumps off the field. But immediately we have to shift gears as coaches and get in touch with high school coaches and club coaches and counselors and teachers and get to know their family and really do a good job at understanding who they are as young men and what they believe in and what their values are. And at that point, you're introducing them to the Air Force Academy when they check those boxes. So we might be recruiting a larger pool, but in the end, I think it's just giving them a lot of really good information and not trying to talk anyone into it and taking on that role as educator and mentor and building trust with people that are interested in the Air Force Academy. And I think that young men see through coaches that try to sell them something. We just try to build trust and build a relationship, and then they'll get to the point where they think that, hey, this is a great opportunity. This is something that I think I can do. I've yet to see someone who is 100% gung-ho, all in, I got to go to the Air Force Academy. I don't think that that's a realistic expectation in the recruiting process. I think our guys, get pretty darn close to in their minds, maybe at 17 years old, to think that they might be 100%, but that's just not it's not a realistic expectation. And it takes a little bit more time, but that's something I think that our coaching staff buys into, and we believe in taking more time, doing it the right way, and creating those bonds in that part of the process, and then inviting them into our family and getting to know them,
Right.
when they make that transition to the Air Force Academy.
Right. Here's a question I think you might be looking forward to, knowing you. I believe a grad wrote in, under Coach Keating in the early 70s, the USAF lacrosse slogan was best in the West. But with the development of Western powerhouses, he mentions DU and some other teams that are coming up in the West. He asks, is that an achievable goal? Can the Air Force Academy be the best in the West?
Well, if you look at our schedule every year, Denver, we're very fortunate to have Denver on our schedule, and some other top 5, top 10 programs every year. And we believe that we can beat every team on our schedule. And I believe our players have that mindset. They have that work ethic. They've achieved that. And we need to beat the Pioneers, no question. Coach Junie does a fantastic job there. The players in that program, obviously, they have the buy-in, and they play at a very high level. And we have nothing but respect for that program. But in order to achieve Coach Keating's goal, be the best or best in the West, there's no question that you have to beat the team that right now is sitting in that chair. But we are driven and motivated, and we want to beat Denver, and that's one of our goals every year. But I don't think that our players are that short-sighted to just focus on one team. I think everybody on our roster, from our freshmen to our seniors, they understand that we're going to focus on one game at a time in the season, and respect everyone on our schedule. So even though we have teams that are top 5 and top 10 teams in the country, we want to make sure that we respect everyone. And we're developing to be our best during the month of May, and so we can compete to be the number 1 team in the Southern Conference going into our conference play, and we can win a SoCon title and then take that into the NCAA tournament. That's our path right now, and that's our goal. And I think that our players are really disappointed. I think in 2019, we were one goal away from advancing, and to lose I'll say it, we lost to Richmond 7-6 in the conference. That was a tough pill to swallow for our players, and I know they were extremely motivated this year, and they had, I'm sure they've worked very hard since the end of that season, through the summer, through the fall, through the preseason. We battled some injuries during our season this year, even though we had some early success. We were battling some injuries and getting healthy right about the time of March 13th. But our players are extremely motivated to get back to the top of our conference and beyond.
Yeah, I'd like you to speak a little bit more to that. And that, do you see this current situation as a motivating factor in the fact that you can't take any game for granted? I mean, you just had a season basically cut in half. Can you see it using it as a motivating factor at all?
I think that goes without saying. Our players, if you follow social media and you see tweets that were going out right around that time of the year, you never know when it's going to be gone, and our players certainly understand that. Players nationally across the country, around the world, and you never know. So I do believe that our players are just as motivated as ever, but we do look forward to getting back together as a family and working hard toward that goal. I think the challenge and the hard work, our guys embrace it. They love it. Some people call it a grind. I think our players really love it. So we look forward to that in the future. And our players are doing it right now. I don't want to seem like our guys are taking a break right now. They're definitely focusing on their academics with all of our wonderful professors at the Air Force Academy, with e-learning, with EI extra instruction, and getting ready for their exams. But our guys are definitely working on Coach Rain's bodyweight workout that he sent out to them, and I know that they're all bought into running and lifting and working on their athleticism, eating the right things, getting the right amount of sleep, really focusing on the details. And like Coach Rain said, consistency is king during a pandemic, during a situation that we're in right now. Consistency is king.
Yeah, makes sense to me. Another question from someone is, they want to know why we don't play more games against the other academies, against West Point and against the Naval Academy. I'm sure that's a loaded question. I'm sure there's a lot to that as far as scheduling goes, but if you could answer.
It's a great question. And while I can't speak to what the other coaches think, I can say that the cadet athletes want the games to happen. It's just a wonderful experience, those cadet academy versus academy games, to be on the other academy's campus and to be part of that. The history, the culture, just the feeling when you drive through the gate and you're getting off the bus and you see the facilities and you see the people, and it's a wonderful experience and one that we would love to have back between the academies. And to maybe answer half of the question, when the new Navy coach was hired, the first conversation I had after I found out he took the job, we talked about playing Navy, and he said, well, I can't play in that first season, but he said I could definitely try to play in the next season. So we found a date, and we're going to play in 2022. So I'm sorry, 2021. So we're very excited for the future and to keep that relationship going, because it's so important to the young men that are part of that experience, especially the battle and the camaraderie and the brotherhood, and when the game's over with, understanding that they're all part of a bigger team. And so there's a lot that goes along with that. Unfortunately, we don't have Army on schedule. We continue to try. I continue to try. They're a good program and they're good people, and hopefully there will be flexibility in the schedule for us to play in the future. That would be outstanding.
Yeah, that would be great to see. Love to see it. Kind of this is off the track here. We're through all of the fans' questions, but let's circle back to what you said about recruiting and about your mentality as a team, because from what I hear you say is even though from a fan's perspective or from some people's perspective, you're a coach at an Air Force Academy, you still have the same goal as they do at Duke, at Virginia, at Denver, that you're in this to win the whole thing. It's not about just an honor badge because you played a season, right?
Yeah, I'll say it out loud. Our guys hear me talk about it in the locker room. Our coaching staff talks about it, and our players, they work their tails off in order to work toward that goal. We want to compete to win a national championship, and I do believe that whether it's admission support, prep school opportunities, and our administration across the street in the athletic department, our academics, we have more people that care about our cadet athletes from an academic standpoint than any school in the country. And then, of course, from the military side and our superintendent right on down, we have all the support that we need to compete at the highest level. And our players are all on the same page. They're all bought in. And so we're definitely on that trajectory. I think that this year we were on pace to continue down that path. Unfortunately, the season was cut short. We did lose a couple of guys to injury this year, and very unfortunate. Some big players, Matt Schwartz and Vincent Lombardi, and we wish them well as they heal up. Some other guys had some injuries that they recovered from, but I know that they're working hard with our trainer Jean, and Jean Anderson. She's the best, and they're using this time to get healthy and ready to do just what you talked about, compete for and win a national championship.
That's awesome. Well, Bill, thank you for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Appreciate your honest answers. And I hope that the fans who wrote these questions in and the alumni that wrote the questions in are satisfied with the way you answered them. Thank you. I just want to thank you personally for taking this time, and also just being a coach at the Air Force Academy. We like all the coaches that enjoy the values of what this place means, are fun to talk to and fun to be around, and hopefully we'll be back together pretty soon.
Well, thank you for your time today, Ryan. I hope you and your family are doing well. Stay healthy, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Bill.